All right, so here we go. All right, so lesson number 7. Today we're going to go over 6 different rules. There's 6 more rules that we're going to learn. There's rules 11 through 16. And what this first rule is going to do is take us all the way back to our letter, the wa. Okay. So the first time we learned the wa, it had to do with what? What did the wa mean from the first time that we looked at it?
And.
It means and.
Lesson number 7. Today we're going to go over 6 different rules. There's 6 more rules that we're going to learn. There's rules 11 through 16.
Take that, put that, there you go. All right, my bad. Let's go back here. All right, so you're correct. It means and. Okay, A and D. Means and. And you know that it's a temp. Today, rule number 11 is going to tell us a little bit more information about the wa. Okay. So it not only means and, but it means like if you put this wa on front of a verb, okay, then it's going to reverse the tense. Okay. So we're going to give you some examples. Okay. So the word wa, or the letter wa, the consonant wa, has to do with the idea of saying and, a conjunction. But today, the rule number 11 is going to tell us how this wa actually works as a tool, okay, to reverse a verb tense from that which is in the present to the past, or that which is in the future to a past tense, or that which is in the past to a future tense. Okay, so I'll read it. It says the rule applies this rule only applies in biblical Hebrew. So they know the truth. It only applies to the biblical Hebrew, and it's up to and including the writings of the prophets, and it's in a few places of their prayers. But this only applies to biblical Hebrew. It says the rule we learned in rule number 3 on page number 3, which you should have a copy of, that the wa on the front of the word means and. Okay, and they gave us an example, the av and wa aim, which is the father, and the mother. They got it in bold, so kind of go over that. Now we're going to learn that if there's a wa in front of a verb, okay, if it's in front of a verb, then it's going to act a little differently than it would if it's in front of a noun, okay? So it can mean and, but it also can change. It's just a rule, okay? It can change something from the past tense to the future tense, and the verb and the future tense to the past tense. And they're going to give us some examples, okay? So here are the examples. The first example that they have here is this word called shamarti. We know that if you put a letter on the end of a word, it is in the past. I think I'm going to switch this color out because it's a little too bright. It's in the past. That's a past tense because it's on the end. Then we got a present. And then you got a future. You put a letter on the back of a root, it's in the past. You put it in the middle, it's in the present. If you put it on the front of the word, it's in the future. That's how simple it is. Those are the 3 pieces, the 3 different tenses, okay? So I guarded is in the past tense because I guarded. The ED here is the past, okay? So if I want to say, if you put this wa right here, it says, and I will guard. Okay. That's what it just reversed it. That's why it's called a reversing wa. Okay. Is because it changes the tense. So if something that was in the past, as soon as you put a wa on front of it, it will then switch it from that which is in the past to putting something into a future tense. And the future is always I will. Okay. So I can't explain why this is. I can't. It's only in biblical Hebrew that this happens, okay? So sometimes you will hear the word wayomer and they got a wa in front of it. It's in front of a verb. It'd be like, instead of it saying he said, it would say, all right, he will say, it says he said. Let's continue so we can kind of get our minds wrapped around what it looks like. Because saying things and looking at are 2 different things. So what I want you to do when you look at a word, I want you to find the root. That's the first goal. So the root of this word is shamar. And how many letters do you need to have a root?
3.
Okay. So that's what you always want to look for. Then you're going to look on the end and find out what's on the end. Okay. And you're going to look on what's on the beginning. So just again, what we're doing is putting pieces to the puzzle. So the Y is and the I will. Okay. The I is right here. Okay. And the will came in when I put the wa on front of this verb, and then the guard is right here, shamar. Okay. Somebody tell me in this word right here, what letter represents he?
The yod.
Yod. Thank you. Okay. And the yod, since it's at the beginning of the root of shamar, that means he will. And he will is a future tense. Good job. Okay. Now, when I put a wa on front of it, it goes from yishmor, because that's how you say this, to wa yishmor. Okay. Wa yishmor. Wa. Okay. So the wa yishmor means and he guarded. So it went from he will guard from a future tense, and it switches it, and now it's a past tense because you put the wa in front of it. Okay. Now, it may be a little confusing because you were like, well, doesn't it mean and? Yeah, it does. But it also means it can change the tense. It's called a reversing wa. When I send this over to you, you'll see that they give it a name up here called the wa right here. They don't spell it out for you, but here it is, the wa. Then they call the ha and then hipuk. But I don't want to, I don't expect you to remember this. It's just too much information. Okay. Your brain can only absorb so much. Only thing I want you to focus on is that it has two things. It operates two different ways. One is and the other one is a reversing. It reverses the tense, and tenses are past, present, and future. Okay. So you could go from the past to the future. You can go from the future to the past. Okay. And there's some more examples, but this is rule number 11. And of course, when you get the copy, you'll be able to go over it this week and you'll be like, okay, I'm starting to understand it. You might have to go over it a couple of times, but don't let it scare you. It's not a big deal. You're going to see it all the time. Okay. Page number 52. Here's some more examples. Number 3. What part of this word nishlach, nishlach is, what part of this word right here is we? What letter?
Is it the noon?
Yes, it is. Because it's on the front. And if it's on the front, it's past, present, and future.
It's future.
Thank you. Okay. Now, when I put the wa in front, it goes, and we sent. That means past tense. So it was we will. Okay. Anytime a letter's added to a root on the front, it goes from I will, we will, you will, he will, she will, they will. Okay. It's always a will. And the will, you got to remember this. The will is going to tell you about the future. It means something is going to come to pass in the future. The moment that you put a wa in front of it, that's all they did right here. It reversed it, and it went from future tense about we will send to and we sent past tense. That's just a rule. Okay. This example right here. What 3 letters are the root?
Is it the lamed, the kof, and the waf?
Good shot. However, remember, I told you that you got to be careful because the ha is not always the, it's also could be part of a word. So this is a little tricky one. It was tricky for me. So the first 3 is going to be the hey and the lamed and the cough. Okay. If it's a final cough, would be halak. And halak means to go. Okay. So the u on the end, when you know your endings, your pieces to your puzzle, the u is they. The halak right there is went. So they went. That is in the past. They went to the store. Okay. Now, in order for me to change it to future tense, all I would do is just put a wa on the front right here. And it would be wa halaku. Okay. And that wa right there means and it just switched the tense to they will go. Okay. So one's past, one's present. Excuse me, future. So this is a rule that you will find in all of the biblical Hebrew. Okay. And there's some examples that you'll see it all the time. Okay. And one of the things that's famous for it is you would see this word, Wayomer. 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 And then it would give Yahweh's name. And I don't know if there's a thing on the end. Okay. All right. So what does Amar mean?
Said.
Okay, to say. The Yod right here means what?
He.
He. Okay, so he say, right? And the wa means and. Okay. So we don't ever say and he say. We would say and he said. Okay. So it goes from say to said. If this wasn't here, it would mean he will say. Okay. He will say Yahweh to Moshe. But it has that wa, yo, right here, why. And they have a little dot here sometimes, why yo mer, meaning and he said. And it's going to tell you who the he is, which is Yahweh. Yahweh said. And he, who Yahweh said to El Moshe. See, that's going to what that wall does. It always changes the tense. So it is, if it didn't say and he said, it would just be Amar. And the reason why it would just be Amar is because this 3-letter root by itself is perfect. And it's already implied to mean he because it's a 3-letter, it's in its perfect form. Okay. If I wanted to say that she said, what would I say? What would I do here? What letter would I put right here on the end? What letter would I put there? Put a hey.
A hey.
Hey, Amara. Okay. That's what I would do to feminize it. And that was in our lesson where you can feminize. I think that's in lesson number 1, where you just add a H to the end or a hey to the end of that in particular root. And it would tell you that she said, okay. And it would be perfect. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. So what it's saying to us is that they wanted us to note that not every wa changes the tense of a verb. Some simply mean and that's all. So they said we're going to come back later and discuss the difference between the reversing and the standard. However, until then, we simply rely on the context of the sentence to see if the y has changed the verb or not. Okay, so is not always going to be the case. And when you read the sentence, it would tell you, the context would let you know if it's completed or it's not completed. And you would know that by if you know the different words and the different places of the, if something's on the end or if the verb is followed by, a certain noun with another verb, just all that kind of stuff. Okay. So one last point on this vav, on this reversing vav, okay, that they want us to know is that when you're adding it onto a verb, this is very important. When you're adding the reversing wa right here, because that's what it is, the reversing wa to change the tense onto a verb whose last root letter is a hey, okay? And they're giving us an example of ra'a or haya. It says that the verb is in its future tense, the hey will fall off of the end of the verb. And here's the example. And he saw, okay? That is the example. He saw, okay? And if it is he saw, then it would be simply by itself a dresh, and it'd be an aleph, and it'd be the hey, like that, okay? Because 3 letters by itself is the root. And if it's 3 letters by itself, it means he. That's already implied, and that means that it's perfect. When I add a letter to the front of it, it becomes imperfect. Okay. and it becomes something that needs to be done in the future. That's why the letter yod is added to the front of the root, as you can see right here. What does this letter mean again when it's added to the front of the root? He. Okay. If it didn't have that letter right there, what would it be? What would this mean?
He saw.
He. Yes, he saw. I add the yod to it. What am I saying? He what? Will. Okay. So wrap your mind around the idea that when you add something to the front of a verb, any three letters, it means in the future, meaning it will. It will, he will, she will, it will, they will, we will. Okay. So the rule for the reversing y is if you add something, this y to this root of a future tense, what's going to happen is that this hey right here, that's on the end of the root, is going to drop off when you add the reversing y. And then it would go, instead of it being what we have, where's it at? Instead of it being this, which you have here, where the letter, the hey right here is still there, what's going to happen is it's going to fall off. It's going to end up looking like this. So you can see the difference. The y is there, the y is there, the yod is there, the yod is there, the resh is there, the resh is there, the aleph is there, the aleph is there, but it's missing the hey. The reason why it's missing the hey is because the reversing y has caused it to fall off because it was a future tense. It's just a rule that you're just going to have to remember. And you're going to remember it by seeing it more often. Okay. Because when you'll read something, you'll be like, well, I know what my vocabulary is. My vocabulary is I know what this is. That is to see. I know that he saw. I know what that is. Okay. So what's the problem? Where's the hey at? So you'll be like, oh, okay. They must have, when they added the wa, because it was a future tense, when they put this yod right here, excuse me, and they put this wa right here, oh, this got to go. But it still means exactly the same root, except for that letter dropped off. It's just the rules. So based on our lesson that we had last week, what's the name of the prophet that you and I are supposed to remember? Your flies away.
Oh, Yonah.
Yonah.
Yonah. Okay. And so the Yonah for us is letting us remember that the yod, the wa, the noon, and the hey. These four letters, okay, are what they call weak letters. Okay. So when anytime anything is added to a root, either if it's in the front or the back, these letters will fall off. They will fly away, literally. Okay. And you can remember that by Yonah, and you can look at lesson number 6 in order to remember that. So let's look at the example on number 2. And feel free to ask any questions. Here's the next example. If we have the word he or it, this word for he or it will to exist, or he was, okay? That is what you will call what? Is that present tense or is that past tense?
Was his past.
That's past. That's past tense. Okay. And the reason why it's saying he or it, and I got confused when I first learning the language, is simply because the he could be a it. It could be a horse. It could be a male horse. It could be a male bird. It could be a male anything. Okay. And she and it could be the same thing. It could be a female animal, female, human being. See? So that's why you always see he in it or she in it. If you're going to change that from haya, okay, right? Because that's what it would be. It'd be a hey, a yod, and a hey. That is right here. The moment that you put a yod on front of it, it becomes will, because it's a future tense, and I just added a letter to the root. Okay. So, and he, it was should be this, but simply by adding a reversing wa to it, to the front of the verb. But no, the hey is going to drop off when you add the reversing wa. Okay. They're using the word hipuk, We know what it is. And they're left with wahi. Why? Because when you added the reversing wa, the last letter, which is that hey, drops off. And that's just the rule. Okay. So that's the rule that it is. I don't know why this rule is there. And I tried to find out, and it's just really deep. So I said, forget about all that. I'll just remember that if I see it, I know what the reversing Y is. So that's what the reversing Y does. It reverses the tenses, and you will get used to it. Don't worry about it. Okay. Because it's only one rule out of so many. So some rules you're going to be able to get real fast, and other rules you're going to have to take a little bit more time with. Okay. Rule number 12. Okay. Is going to tell you to guard, to speak, to eat. Okay. So they're letting us know that the moment that you put a certain letter on front of a verb, okay, it can actually cause that verb to do something. So for example, if we want to say in Hebrew that they got David, but as Dawid went to the house, or Sarah went to speak to Dawid, or the father will come to eat with the boy, etc. They're saying the rule here is, in order for you to make it to, all you're going to do is going to add this letter, the lamed, like a preposition, to the front of the 3-letter root verb. Okay. So here's our 3-letter roots. And all we did was add this lamed to it. The lamed here means to. Okay. So shamar is to guard, and to guard will be lishmor, or ladaber, or le'echol. Okay. It's just adding a lamed. And a lamed, again, on a side note, is a staff. So you would automatically know that this is to go to or for. So as soon as you see this on the front of any 3-letter root, you should know it means to. Somebody tell me what's another or a word for to in Hebrew, or letters. How can you do it besides the lamed? What's the other one? It's a preposition.
L.
L. There you go. L. And that's the strong staff. Okay. Usually when you see this L, it's after Yahweh has spoken or someone in authority. Okay. Just a little side note for us. That's pretty simple, right? Just add this letter and it means to. Okay. So lishmor. So do you guys see, if you would learn the vocabulary like debar and a call and all that? Don't worry about right now about, the, if you know how to read it, that's fine. But I just want you to look at it. I want you to just understand the concepts behind it. Don't worry about so much about the pronunciation right now, because you got to learn that. Sometimes these verbs are going to change. Shamar by itself doesn't have these 2 dots underneath like that. Shamar by itself will generally have like this, like a ah under it, shamar. But then when you're changing it, it actually changes the way you make it sound. But that's not what we're trying to learn right now. What we're just trying to put in your mind only. And so I want you to make it clear. The only thing you want to worry about is, what do these letters represent? I want you to focus on the pieces of the puzzle. I don't want you to focus on the dots and stuff underneath and all that kind of stuff. I just want you to know how the letter functions. Okay. So the lamed means to, simple as pie. Root words are here: guard, to bear, and to eat. Okay. Why are they telling us this? Because in a sentence structure, you want to be able to find out when you see it. You'll be like, okay, well, I know what the 3-letter root is, but I know to is L, but now I have the letter lamed, okay, which represent the English letter L. So let's see how it works. So the first sentence is, Dawid went to guard the house. Okay, so here it is. When you get your lesson, that's Dawid and halak. Okay, and he went to. Okay, and here's guard and eth, which is a direct object marker pointing you what he did guard, which is the habayith, the house. The is the hay right here, and bayith is the house. See how they're putting the pieces together? So if you know the pieces, you'll be able to do it, right? So these are all nothing but pieces. Okay. Sarah, right, which is our mother. Sarah, she halakha. So why is it halakha versus right here? Why is it halakha versus halak? What's the difference?
Feminine.
Feminine. How do you know it's feminine?
The hay.
There you go. So this right here. This is your signal. This low vowel point and this hey right here. Okay. Good job. So then the next one is, what's that letter represent?
Two.
Two. Don't be afraid. Two. And then we know what this word is. Dabar means to speak. Okay. And then we know from our studies and our prepositions that L, again, it means what? Two. And then we see, again, the noun, Dawid. You see? So, Surah, Halakha, the La Daber, the El Dawid. Okay. Somebody tell me, without looking over here, somebody tell me, what's this first hey mean? The. There's a word called of right here. What is that?
Father.
Father. There you go. Don't you feel like you're on Family Feud? And then we have Yavo. What does Yavo mean? What is Bo?
Go. Went.
Yeah, go or come. Okay. So the Father, he will come or go to what? What is Akel? Eat. He's going to eat. And then eat means what? Preposition?
If.
With?
No. With.
Yeah, he's going with what? Ha? What's ha?
The.
Uh-huh. And then if you know your last vocabulary word, Yaled, then you would know that as a what?
Boy.
There's a boy. Survey says. Yeah, what's the survey? Yes, the father will come to eat with the boy. Now, the reason why will come is because there is a yo, meaning he, and that is will. He will, because it's added to the front of the what? Is added to the front of this three-letter root. You got to look for those three-letter roots. So he will. Who's the he will? Oh, the father is the he will. Okay, he will come to eat with the boy. Got it? That's how you do it. You break it down. So note, these words can also be translated in certain circumstances as guarding, speaking, and eating, and etc. That's in a whole nother lesson when they talk about lishmor and okal and all that. Basically, what they're saying is that depending on where this dot is, that's over here, it tells you that it's not just, guard, to guard, to speak, but actually the person who's doing the action is actually doing it. Like it's called a participle, the ing. And usually, just on a side note, when you got a little dot right here that you see on, okal and lishmor, that little dot right there, that means that it's a participle. That means it's an ing. That means it's going on in the what? Present, past, or future. Past, present, future. That little dot right here on a call or lishmor, that O sound is always going to be present. This is your ing because it's going on. This always is going on as we speak. I'm going to be guarding. I'm speaking. I'm eating presently. You're doing it right now. Okay. Just a little side note. And if you notice, I keep talking about past, present, and future because those are the tenses that you're always going to work in. You're always going to be like, is this in a past, present, and future? And so, example here is that Elohim spoke to Moshe saying, so you tell me, I'll go off the first word and it says, and where's that at? What letter?
Wa.
Wow, good. They have God right here, but we know that they changed it out. It's Elohim. Dabar. What's Dabar mean?
Spoke.
Spoke. Where's two?
The L.
L. Thank you. There's Moshe right there. And what? Saying. Lay more. So you see this? The Lamed. What does the Lamed mean again?
Two.
Two. You understand? So to saying, this dot right there is ing. That's where that ing comes from. Okay. Yah's directing Moshe with these words. Okay. So he's saying to him, so why do better Yahweh, or why do better Elohim El Moshe Lemor? You're going to hear this all the time in the Torah. Yah's constantly telling Moshe to go tell the children of Israel this, go tell them this, go tell them that. Speak to them. Okay. Now, one thing, though, before we leave, it spoke. And that reason why it spoke is because it's in the past tense. Because if I took this wa off, it'd be Yadaber. Okay. And Yah in the front is he will. Remember that. Not just he, but he will speak. He will speak. Okay. And the reason why is he not will speak now, but he spoke past tense is because they put that reversing wa right there. They added that wa. Okay. It means and he spoke. And who's the he? Who's the yod right here? Elohim. They changed to Kai right here. To Moshe saying. It's not hard. It's just you got to know your puzzle. Once you know your letters, you know how to read, then you go to your what we're doing right now, which is cool. You get your vocabulary words, you put the pieces together. Okay. Here we have rule number 13. Very simple. I'm not going to read all of it. I'll let you read that when you get it. What it means is that rule number 13 is telling us that is, are, and am are all implied. When you're translating Hebrew into English, you have to add these words, is, are, and am, okay, to the English translation, okay? That's what we have to do. And it gives you a little bit of that because there's no words for those. There's no words in Hebrew for a, there's no Hebrew words for is or are or am. If you want to put it in English, you have to, you got to put that in, you got to imply it. It's implied, but you got to put it in your translation in order for it to make sense to you, okay? Or the person you're talking to. Rule number 14 is telling us that you're going to add little endings, you know, on page number, I think, yeah, it's on page 17. There's little endings that you have supposed to memorize, you know, like ka and ka and o and the wa on the end and the ah and the hey, you know, the kim and the ken and tim and and all those different things on page number 17. Okay. And I believe that's in lesson number 3 or 4. Okay. But let's look at some examples. All they're doing, you guys, here is showing us that this rule is for adding endings onto verbs, because before we learned how to add it to prepositions like la ka, right? So if you know what ka is, if I say la ka, then you would know what that is. What's la ka? Just off the letters. To you, to who? What's ka? To you. And I'm talking in masculine, okay? And if I was a female, it'd be lak. If it's a male, it's laka, okay? So that's prepositions you can add that to. You know, if you're going to go somewhere, you're going to speak to someone, all kind of stuff, okay? So once you learn those endings that are on page number 17, they're taking those pieces of that puzzle and they're putting it on these in particular roots, okay? So for example, number 1 we have right here is called I guarded you. So what part of this word here is I? What letters?
Is it the T?
Yep, the Tav and the Yod. Perfect. So if that's the case, then what are the three letters for the root?
Shem, the Mem, and the Resh.
Yes, which is Shamar, and Shamar means to guard. Okay. Why is it guarded in the past tense?
This is at the end because the T is at the end.
Yes, because the tit is at the end of the root. Okay. So get this in our hearts and saying that first thing I want to do is look for the root. The root is three letters. Okay. And if I'm familiar with my vocabulary, I'll be like, oh, that's Shamar. Then I know my ending is T. Oh, that's I. Okay. So that's I guarded. Okay. I guarded. That's what it is. And you say Shamarti. Okay. But if I want to tell you that I'm guarding you, I guarded you, and I'm going to say that, what we're going to do is we're creating small little sentences in one word. That's what's so powerful about this language, that you can create a small sentence in one word. They don't waste any time with a whole bunch of this, that, and the other. They just, I guarded you. That's a nice little sentence. Okay. So when you look at this, I can still take this shamarti, and all I do is add a ka on the end. That ka right there is you. So I will go shamartika. 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 I guarded you. So when I say it, I go shamar ti I ka, you. If you reverse it, you I guarded, or I guarded you. See? So just put the pieces together, and you got to hear the ka. The ka is you. Okay. So that's the first example. The next one is, but you can see how they can create one sentence out of one word. Shamartika. Okay. This next one is we will guard. The reason why it's we will is because there's a letter added to what? The front, the middle, or the back?
Right.
It's the front. And so it's the future tense. Okay. So that's the future. When you add a letter to the front of a three-letter root, it is in the future. In this case, this noon right here means we. Okay. We will guard. Nishmor. Okay. Nishmor. But I'm going to change it. I'm going to add a different ending to the end, and it's going to be nishmodreim. That means we will guard them. The them right there is this last letter. And is it masculine or feminine? It's masculine. If it was feminine, it wouldn't be a mem, it would be a noon. See? At the end, a final noon. So you got to know your pieces to your puzzle, and you can find those pieces on page number 17. So then you got that. Then it says, you sent her. Okay. So we know what the her is right here. Okay. We know that. That's our piece of our puzzle. We know shalak is the three-letter root, and we know the ta is what? You. See? So, and because at the end of a word, we got ti. That means I. We got ta, right? Which is masculine, right? You. And we got this one right here for the female. Okay. It's just not ta, it's t. Just the sound. T. Okay. So that tells us that any of these right here can be on the ending. This is I. This is you, masculine. This is you, feminine. See, it's either going to be masculine or feminine. It's either going to be I, you, or them. That's what it is. First person, second person, third person. Okay. And then what do we have for our ending for they will send? So here it is. This looks a little bit more confusing because you're like, man, look at all these letters. So what can we find for our root? Where's our root at? Give me the three letters of the root. Take a guess.
Shin, the lamed, and the
Yes. Yes. And that would be the shin, the lamed, and the kaf. I mean the ket. And that in English is called shalak. I say Selah. Shalak, okay? And shalak means to send, okay? And then the they right there is this ooh right here, they. The us on the end is this in the noon and this new right here, new, like Eloheinu, okay? Because this is a present tense, I mean, excuse me, a future tense, they have the yod right here. And this is something that confuses people a lot because you got a letter on the front of the word of this word and you got something on the back. So you'll be like, man, wait a minute. Is it future tense? Because it has a letter on the front, but it also got something on the back like new. So is it past tense? What is it? Here's the rule. And this is which you can remember. If there is any letter added to the front of any root, then you automatically know, as soon as you see anything on the front of it, you know it's future. Okay. This part on the end right here is just identifying whether it's masculine or feminine. Okay. Meaning the ending here will correlate with the first letter. And I don't want to get confusing. Let me stop. To keep it simple, the first letter that's added to a front of a root makes it a future tense, okay? And if you know your endings and you know your beginnings, then you would automatically be able to break this word down. Be shalak, okay, this is future tense. This is the root, okay? This is u right here is they, and this new right here is us. That's all they're doing is putting pieces together. That's all it is putting pieces of the puzzle together. So the first step is what? What's the first thing I told you to look for?
The root.
You got to look for the root. And the root consists of how many letters?
3.
3. You put something on the front, is for F, is for future. Yeah. You put something in the end, it is your past. You put something in the middle, okay? It's present, meaning it's presently going on right now, okay? So when you look at this, and of course, you're not going to remember all of this. Your brain can only take so much. That's why I'm kind of just breezing over to give you some type of idea of what you're looking at. So when you study it this week, you'd be able to, you know, take your time with it and really look at it and get it, okay? One other thing here, let's see. Oh, for me, it's another ending that you'll find on page 17. And they give you examples here. How do you make something into saying that you guarded me? Right? So we know shamarta is you guarded, okay? And then you guarded me. And then you have this E right here, okay? But that can't be by itself according to the rules. So what they would say is that you have to add this noon and turn it into ni. So it goes from shamarti to shamartani, okay? You guarded me. What's the first thing I told you to look for? The what?
The root.
The root. Then you're going to go, what's the next letter? Is that past, present, or future?
Past.
Past. Great job. And that tav tells you what? That is it me, you, or he, or what? Where is it? It's going to be you. Okay. And the ni on the end means me. That's what it means. So you can see, if you know your pieces to your puzzle, when you put that together, it'll tell you the story. Okay. So if I was to interpret this, I would go, me, you guarded, or you guarded me. That is in the past. Okay. What's our root in this word right here?
Shalak. The shin.
Shalak. There it is. It's shalak. Okay. So that means to sin. Okay. To sin. And then the u on the end, remember what our u means?
They.
They. And then the ni is what? Me.
Me.
So they sent me. Okay. Past tense. See, just another puzzle. let me continue to press upon you that learn your endings and learn what these endings are, and you know your roots, which is your vocabulary. That's all this is knowing your vocabulary. Okay. And you put the end and the beginning pieces on, and you'll know what it is. So it says, we know from page number 17 that the wa is him or it. Therefore, I guarded him or it will be what? Shamar ti, and then add the wa. So it'll go shamar ti, shamar ti. Okay. Very simple. Just adding your pieces to your puzzle. Find your root, find out who the person's, who's doing it. Is it in the past, the present, and the future? And trust me, by the time you get through this, I was surprised that we're on lesson number 7. We're moving pretty quickly through these things. When you know your pieces of your puzzles together, then you'll be fine. You just put it all together. So when we look at, there's another way of saying him or it. Don't ask me why, but it's not just the wa, it's actually this word right here, who. Okay. Who means him or it. Okay. So shamarti, that means I guarded, and then him, shamarte what? Shamar, shamarte who? Shamarte who? He, I guarded. Okay. A ti right here is I. The who is what? The who is him. Thank you. Okay. Now, what letter in the shalakuhu? That sounds so African, right? Shalakuhu. Okay. Shalakuhu. That's right here. That's the one I just said. Shalakuhu. Okay. I know the shalak is there. Shalach. Shalakuhu. Okay. The u on the end, right, of shalaku or shalaku. What is shalaku?
They sent.
They sent. And the shalakuhu means what? They sent what?
Him.
Yeah.
Him. Thank you. Shalakuhu. Okay. So I'm saying it, but when you look at it, it is breaking it down to who is he or him, excuse me. The u right there is they, and the shalak is sent. That's all it is. It's a puzzle. Shalakuhu. Okay. Shalakuhu. Shalakuhu. You guys getting this?
Yes.
It's just putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Primarily, if you know your vocabulary words, then your endings are just adding to it. That's all you do. And that's the reason why they give you the vocabulary words at the beginning of the lesson, because they want you to know, okay, here's the vocabulary words. I want you to put the pieces on it. You put it on the front. If it's the front, it's the future. He or she or it or they or we will do something. Okay. Then he talks about that, which is on the end. T or ta or kim or ken or or on. That's your endings. Okay. The u, that's an ending. So when you hear the u, Elohe nu, then you know nu means our, right? So Elohe is Elohim, right? Eloheinu, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Eloheinu. He's our Elohim. Okay. Yahweh Eloheka. He is your Elohim. Yahweh Elohai. He is my Elohim. Elohekim. He is your Elohim, plural, masculine. Eloheken. He is all female Elohim, right? He's their Elohim. Okay. See the endings? Summary. All the endings from page number 17 can be added to these roots. Okay. Shamartika, Shamartani, Rishamarte, Rishamartehu. It's all there. You can add it. Forgive my fingers, please. When I send it to you, I had to hold the book a certain way. All right. So here it is. Now, what I do, just to kind of give you a little insight of how I handle these, pronunciations in these words, right? Is kind when you look at it, you kind of get confused. You're like, okay, well, there's a lot of information there. It's intimidating, get a little scared. I don't know if I can do it. I'm not used to it and all that kind of stuff. Okay. I'm sharing some very intimate details with you about what I feel. So what I did was when I studied this, and I'm talking about I guarded, I said to myself, well, I know how to speak it. I know how to say these words. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of find out what, ni and ta, and look at those things and find out if it's masculine, feminine. I don't look at it first to tell me if it's him. I'm just looking at the endings. I already know the roots are all the same. Shamar, shamar, shamar. I already got that. I know the T is I. That's all done. So I already know that. But I don't know these endings right here. This is what, you're getting confused with, right? So the ni, the ka, the wa by itself, the hu, the ha. You hear that? So if you hear these things, all I did was say, shamartini, shamartini, shamartini. Ni is me, ni is me. I keep saying it. I'll say shamartika, shamartika, ka is you, masculine. Shamartik, shamartik, shamartik is female. I guarded you, female, okay? Shamarte, shamarte, right? You got to kind of try to get that what in there, but it's hard. But you just say shamartwe, 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 okay? Meaning I guarded him. Shamartehu, 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 okay? So the tehu is I guarded him. Again, that's the other way that they say it. And of course, it is shamarteha, shamarteha. So shamarti, 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 shamartini, shamartika, shamartik, shamartwe, shamartuhu, shamartaha, shamartiha. Okay. Practice these endings. Okay. So take it piece by piece. Shmar, shmar, shamarte, shamarte, shamarte. Okay. It's all the same. Shamartenu, shamartenu, shamartakim, shamartakin, shamartakim. And then when you look, and then after you finish saying this over here, I want you to direct your attention over here and say it. Shamartenu, shamartakim, shamartakin, shamartaam. Let me see what that is. Yeah. Shamartim, shamartim, shamartin. Shamartim, shamartin. Shamartin, shamartin. Shamartim, shamartin, tin. Shamartin. Okay, that's feminine. The ken right here, that's feminine, plural. Kim, pronounce it to get that in there. So shamartem, shamartekem, shamartekem, shamarteken, shamartim, shamartim, shamartin, shamartin. You got to say it where people can hear it. Okay. So that's how you would do that. You could take your time, rehearse that. Say this for a minute and then come over here and just keep saying it. Shamartanu. Don't look at this anymore. Put a piece of paper over it. Shamartanu, shamartanu, shamartanu. Where's the nu? Shamar. Shamar is right here. Te, shamarte. Shamarte, nu. Shamarte, nu. Nu is us. And you say this enough times, you're going to remember that nu is us. You're going to know that when I talked about I guarded you, Kem, plurality, I know what the Kem is and I know what the Ken is. I've already covered them and memorize it. That's how you got to do it. It's based on memory and it's based on sounds. So close your eyes sometimes when you say it so you can actually hear it a little bit better. Okay. Rule number 15. It says a hey at the end of a noun can signify two. That's what it can. So I know before in lesson number 1, a hey on the end of a word would tell us that it's feminine. But here's another rule. The hey word on the end of a noun can signify this word two. It's similar to the lament that we talked about, right? Meaning two. That is a preposition, to somewhere, okay? And here are a few examples that this applies to, and it's only going to apply to places. It's not going to apply to anything else. So when I was reading the Torah and I came across this word mitzvah yama, I was like, what is this? Versus Mitzrayim, La Mitzrayim. Well, according to the rule, Mitzrayimah means they both translate to Mitzrayim. So this hey on the end represents two. Okay, just like this lamed right here means two, Mitzrayim, so does that hey right there. Don't ask me why. But it only applies to places. It doesn't apply to names. It doesn't apply to anything else except for places. Okay. And here's another example. To a house. So it's bayita. Okay. Bayita. Bayita versus la bayith. Same thing. To. That all on the end right there means two. Shema. Shema. I know you've heard this again. Shema. Shema Yisrael. It's a different Shema. This Shema is not the same as this Shema. Okay. So Shema and Shama. You got to hear it. Shema and Shama means two. Two where? Two there, because Sham means there. Looks like shame, you know, but shame is the same. It could be Sham, which means there. And if you wanted to change it, it means shame means name. See? So it's just a matter of pronunciation. It could be shame, which is name. It could be Sham, meaning there. It could be Shamayim, meaning there. It can mean those things. So these are just rules. Okay. So that's what we're learning. We're learning how it works. Now, are you going to remember all these rules? Like I said, no, you're not going to remember them all the time. But when you see it, you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, that's a rule. And then you go back to your Hebrew lessons. You'll be like, okay, that's why that's there. That means two. Okay. Rule number 16, I believe, is our final rule. It says here that the abbreviation of la is converted to la, meaning this. When I first saw this, I was confused because I'm like, what do you mean la is to this la? What is that? What is this? What does that mean? You know what I mean? Why is it going to this? Well, what they're doing is they're just trying to minimize, instead of having all these letters, let's just put one letter with the vowel point underneath it. Because this here means this. Ba here means this. Ka here means this. So it's asking you the question, how do we say I went to the sun? Okay. I went to the sun. Well, we know that went is past tense. We know that I is the ti and halak is went. Okay. And it says la habain. La means two. Ha means the. And bain is what? Sons. Okay. So instead of saying la habain, instead of saying that, all we're going to say now is they're going to change it. They're going to go, no, we're going to go la and the hey combined will give you la, where the la, the lamed takes the vowel that was under the hey. Therefore, we say ha lakti labain. So labain means the exact same thing as la havain. Okay. And why are they doing that? Because they're shortening it up. They're letting you know that even though that hey is not there, it is still implied. You still know that when you say labain, it means not to son, but to the son. And they're going to give us some examples. Here's an example of ba ha safer. It's going to go from baha to ba safer. See? So they're getting rid of the hey, and they're getting rid of this vowel point and taking the vowel that was underneath the hey right here, and they're putting it under the bet right here. So just moving that vowel point underneath, and they go ba safer. And ba safer means in, which is the bet, the, which is already implied in this vowel point right here, the, and then safer, if you know the vocabulary, is book. Just putting the pieces to the puzzles together and knowing your rules that they're teaching you. And then over here, they give an example of what they were doing. They're combining them together. And then this and this together equals this. And that's what it becomes. Not a big deal. Instead of saying like the day like this, kahayom, we wouldn't say that. We would just say what? Which kayom.
Right.
So and it still means kayom means the same thing as kahayom, because ha means the and yom is day and like is ka. So instead of saying kahayom, I would say kayom. Same thing, like the day, exactly the same. They just abbreviated it and they made it shorter. Okay. So it says, please note that sometimes you may see the ba or the be. You might see different vowel points underneath it. You won't just see this one. You'll see the 3 dots underneath it, or you might see this, but it still means the same thing. It means in the, okay, or to the, or like the, same thing. So the abbreviation of the lamed from la, laha, and baha, and kaha are all abbreviated into la, ba, and ka, which can also be the ba, be, or ba, or la, or le. See, it could be la, it could be le, it could be la here. It could be ka, it could be ka, or it could be ke. Doesn't matter, doesn't make any difference at all. They're just letting us know that it's abbreviated to mean in the, or like the, or to the, okay? A lot of information, but you are going to get it. No worries. All right, so the lesson's over today. I know it was a lot of information. You have, of course, a summary that we're sending over that you get after every single lesson. Please make sure to go over this. This is going to be the heart of everything to remind you and refresh your memory. So go over all the rules. And that's what I like about this book. I do like this about it. It gives you the rules and it tells you what the rules are. Okay. So that's what you're going to get as well. I have an actual little bonus for you too. Here, the rules are continuing. Lessons 5 and 6 tell you what the rules we went over last week. It tells you about Yona. It tells you about, how the letters fall off. Lesson number 7 today. It talked about the reverse and why. It tells you what letters fall off when you have, a verb that the last letter ends in a hey. You automatically lose it when you add the wa to it. So these rules right here are summarized where you can go over it again and kind of refresh yourself. You have these pages. If you don't have them, let me know and I can send them to you. Okay. Because I want you to get better at it. Also too, what you have is you're going to have a lesson, an exercise. And so during this next week, I want you to take the time to do your lesson. Okay. I want you to go why yomer, why the better, why yishalak, why yomuru, why shalaku, or what is it? Yeah. What shalaku and why yamutu. And that's going to tell you the, it's saying that everything here, they got vobs here. Everything in these vobs is really was are already reversed. But also, because this is a very not so easy lesson, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you the answer sheet as well. Okay. I'm going to send you the answer sheet so you can go over and you can look at this. And I want you, and listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to hear me and hear me well. I want you to cheat. I want you to cheat. Okay. That's what I want you to do. They call it cheating. I call it learning. Okay. I want you to look at the answers. What I like about the answer sheet is this. Up to this point, I haven't given you the answer sheet because I wanted you to challenge yourself a little bit more. Since these lessons are getting a little bit harder and they're becoming a little bit more difficult, okay, and to understand the concepts that they're mentioning that you've never known your whole entire life, you need to look at how things are being put together. If you can look at this answer sheet right quick, it's going to give you each answer. Like, let's take number 1. When we had our lesson, it was like, why yomer? That's what it here. This is what it is. They took the vowel points out. So you're not going to see any vowel points, but what you are going to see is how they break everything down. Okay. So and is right here. He is right here. And then said is right here. It's usually supposed to say by itself, but because it's in a reversed, this is put on the front of it, according to our lesson, is telling you that it's said, it's in the past tense. Okay. Because remember, it said the assumption is everything is in the wa. So if the wa, reversing wa, is put on something that's past tense, in your answer, then you would know that, okay, the reversing wah moved it from past to future. If what was said was in the future, then we know that it's going to move to the past. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at the questions on number 1, and then I want you to come over here, and I want you not to be a really blatant cheater. What I want you to do is put a piece of paper over these things here so you can't see it. You don't want to see your answers. Okay. You only want to see it when you need to, so you can get a better understanding. Okay. So this is what this is going to do. It's going to break each one of these things for you. It's going to continue. You're going to start seeing a pattern. You're going to be like, okay, I see it. I know that's and. Okay. So every time I see that's and. Every time I see this yod, oh, it's he. And then, oh, but I see a yod right here, but I see a ooh on the end. Oh, that must be the combination for they, plural. That's the combination. First letter, this one, but it's still in a what? It's still in the future tense because it has a letter at the front. Oh, okay, I get it. But since it's in the future tense and it's saying it's in the past, why is it in the past? Oh, because they added the wa. They reversed it. So it went from the past and went from the future to the past. Okay, I get it. I get it. You understand? So that's what this sheet is going to do for you, is going to excel your learning stupendously. If you have a problem remembering what the vocabulary words, they're all here. Go over your vocabulary words, find what they are. And also don't be lazy and look at it. Oh, is this male, masculine, singular, masculine, plural? Okay, where's the masculine plural? Oh, go to page number 17. Oh, that's Tim. That's Tim. Okay, that's new. That's we. Okay, that's and. Oh, that's guard, shamar. Okay, so you start to develop it. And the only thing you need to worry about is, okay, when I put this wall in front of it, depending on what the context is, it can either reverse it. So then I got to think, is it in the reverse or is it in the future or is it in the past? Well, the context of the sentence will tell you if it's in the past or the future. Okay. You read it enough, you'll be like, oh, that's in the past. So when I read Wayomer, I know it's in the past because I've been reading it so much. I know Wayomer is always going to be in the past. It'll never be anything else. Why Shalak means it's in the past. And you'll get it. Don't worry. Okay. So that's what I'm giving you, and feel honorable. Don't feel like you're, don't feel like you can't learn. You can. It's just things that you're not familiar with. All right. So, any questions about this so far? You guys should be really happy and excited because I'm about to give you the key to open the door. All right. So you're going to open up this door and you're going to go over your lessons. And before you know it, you're going to know, oh, I get it now. If you notice, everything is broken into pieces. They break it down in pieces for us. So you and I will know what the pieces are. You know that the aleph on the beginning of the word is I. You know, spoke is dabar. There it is. And okay, got it. It went from future tense where just adaber to Wayomer or why edbar. You'll get it. Okay. Start looking. Oh, that's new. Oh, that's us. I saw that before. Shalak. Oh, that's sent. Okay. Oh, there's wa on the end. That's him. Okay. Right. Where's the he or they? Where's the they at? Oh, that's the ooh right there. Excuse me. That's the ooh. That's they. Where's the shalak? Oh, sent. Oh, here's the he. Oh, okay. I get it. And oh, here it is. So do those kind of things. It's like looking for a puzzle. Like in the word, you should be able to find it. Start breaking it down. So what's matzah? Oh, found. Where's the I? Oh, that's the ti. Where's the her or it? Oh, female right here. The H. Okay, the hey. There you go. I get it. The us, the new, the tav, the you, the yada, my vocabulary word. You knew us. Yada tenu. You already know us. And before you know it, folks, you are going to be able to dissect the Hebrew language, biblical Hebrew. Okay. Then also too, and they're going to tell you some different things on, exercise number 7. They're going to give that to you. So I'm going to send that to you. And the final one is this one here, where you're going to have to take your time and read it. Okay. And like, for example, question number 8 in exercise 8 says, and he went and they got Avram, which is European. Avram went and he spoke to him. They got Hashem instead of using Yahweh's name. And then he said he went with Lot and Lot went with him. Okay. So when you look at that and you go back to number 8 over here, you could be able to dissect this. So what you want to do first before you go over to the cheat sheet is you want to at least attempt to understand. And he went Avram. Okay. Avram. You should know what Avram is. It's not Avraham, it's Avram. Kasher, which is your vocabulary word. Daber, you know, is to speak. El, Elah, the El means two, and this right here is him. And then here they changed it. Remember they changed it? This is really Elohim, or what I would say Yahweh, right? And then it tells you what he did. And he went Itu with Lot, which is Lot, okay? Wayomer HaKol Kol Yaakov, okay? And the Wahayadim Yade the Asa. So, you know, you read it enough, you know that Asa is Esau. You would know that the Yad is the hand, but we got a semicolon with the two dots and a yod, meaning those were hands, okay? And we know the Wahayadim, meaning and the hands are the hands of Esau. So what is it saying? And he said, Ha-kol, Ha means the, and kol is voice, is the voice, but the voice is the voice of Yaakov. But the hands are the hands of Esau. Well, who said that? Oh, Bereshit 27:22. And if you know what this represents, it represents when Yaakov went to his father and he wanted to get the blessing. So he disguised himself and he put on some animal skin that his mother gave him. And so the father's like, I know this sounds just like Yaakov. The voice is Yaakov's voice, but the hands are Esau's. You see? So there it is. It tells you right there. And so, as you notice, it's all biblical Hebrew. That's all they're going to use is biblical Hebrew. So when you read this, go to Bible Hub and go to chapter number 12 and Bereshit, which is Genesis, verse number 4. And it tell you what Abraham did. 27, it tells you what Esau did and what Yaakov did. And why Yisa Yaakov the Ragala and why Lake the Arsa the Bene the Kadim. He went to the sons of the east. You see? And he carried Yaakov his feet and he walked to the Arsa, the land of the sons of the east. Okay. And that's how easy it is. Okay. Is that you just got to break it down. And once you break these things down, you're going to become super, super smart. Because you're going to be reading in Hebrew and you're going to understand what you're reading. See, my thing was I learned how to read and I learned how to, you know, pronunciate the words. Then I was kind of iffing and going with the definitions, but I didn't have a system of learning vocabulary words and learning it as the process that you guys are learning. It's okay. So, you know, you guys will figure it out. So I gave you the information. I gave you the cheat sheet and all the pages are, all the answers are going to be on page number 18 that I sent to you. Okay. Any questions? I'm excited for you guys because next week you'll be like, you know what? I know more. I know more I've ever known. All right, so that's your class today. I'll send these copies out to you guys. And anyone have any questions? I think I had a question. It says, what's the title of your book? I got to get that for you. I've been taking pictures out of it. I got to get that for you. It's from this guy called Mark Husin. He's a from a Hebrew, what do you call it, Montessori school. And the stuff that you and I are learning is what they teach the little Jewish kids, how to learn the Hebrew language. And everybody in their community this is a mandatory learning. And that's why when they get there, they don't know how to speak Hebrew. But guess what they're teaching them? They teach them biblical Hebrew before they teach them the modern Hebrew. That's what they're teaching. They're teaching them the biblical Hebrew. And that's what you and I are learning. All right. So I'll send that to you guys. Any questions? No? Well, you guys have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
All right,
Wow.
Total Riva. Let's go. everyone.